Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, a very warm welcome to you too. This is a very special video. We are celebrating 35 years of the MX-5. We're here at the 30th anniversary rally of the MX-5 Owners Club. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special MX-5 Owners Club National Rally. Not only are we celebrating 35 years of the MX-5, we're also celebrating 30 years of the MX-5 Owners Club. We're going to officially open the rally now with two very esteemed guests here with me now. We've got Martin and Roger. Now, Martin, come join me. Who would have thought 35 years ago this wonderful little car would have such an impact?
No, it's absolutely incredible, and that's brilliant to have such esteemed guests as Tom and Bob here today as well, so yeah.
But first, we have some important admin to do.
Oh, yes.
We are going to dethrone you, Martin.
Thank you.
So, you have served how long now as chairman?
I did 5 glorious years through COVID. In fact, I came in just before the last anniversary rally, and we had a really good year then. Really enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed my whole time, to be honest.
We are going to rethrone Roger Mead. You're coming back into the chairman position. What have you done in a previous life to deserve this? I don't know. But as we agreed, we are going to do a handshake to see it being handed over from one to the next.
Roger.
So, Roger, I'll come on to you. What's it like to be back as chairman?
Well, 5 years was a long time to go away, and we moved house, we sorted the garden out, and then I thought, what shall I do? And Martin spoke to me and said, would you be interested in coming back on the National Committee? And I did the worst thing I ever did, I said yes. So I was on the National Committee for a few months, and then they voted me on in January back into the chair. And I love it, I must admit. There's no better community anywhere than a community of MX5 owners.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you around the main stage, can I please ask you to give a very warm welcome to our 2 guests. This is David Palmer, the ex-Mazda marketing director, and Stephen Bird, the current MX5 brand manager. Please come have a seat, gents, have a seat. Don't worry about any of this stuff on the floor. This is for the band. We're not expecting you to, we're not expecting to play guitar or anything.
I used to be a DJ, so I could quite easily just...
Well, do you know what, right? We've got... Martin earlier said he's a very proficient bass player, right? So we're going to get him to play bass. You're going to be DJing next.
I could do a bit of boots and cats
Right then, ladies and gents. So we're going to start with you, David, if that's okay.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
So very briefly, just for those around us here who don't know who you are and what you did, could you briefly give us an overview of what you did?
Yeah, I was the marketing director at Mazda UK at the time of the MX5 launch. And well, it was just another new car launch in those days. I'd been there like 16 years, and along came this new model. So I thought we better do something special for the launch.
Right. So when did you first hear about MX5?
That must have been in autumn of '89. I went to the factory, and then they had it in America as well. So I saw the first models over there and got the complete briefing on all the spec and everything, so we could do the launch package.
And they hadn't like given you any tips, or you hadn't heard anything off the grapevine prior to that?
No, that was the first introduction we had to it at the time.
So you've turned up at the factory,
Yeah.
and they've got, oh, by the way, it's this new 2-seater sports
This
car.
car. Well, I thought that was rather nice. You know, we haven't seen anything like this since. Remember, the midgets and sprites are gone, and
Yes.
all the cars like that had gone in the UK, and here was suddenly something coming along that was going to fill that gap completely.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and,
that was.
and obviously based in the UK, did you think there's still a demand for that kind of car? Because I don't know what killed the original the British sports car. A lot of people say it was the build quality. How they were built, they just didn't really last, as most things didn't in the 60s, 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I think that was part of it, but I think the main thing with this was going to be reliability. We knew from all the previous Mazdas how they were built and how good they were, and the dealer network. So we were pretty confident that it was going to be a reliable car.
Yeah. So when you first saw the first MX5, can you remember seeing it for the first time?
Yes, I can remember seeing it in Japan. Yeah, that was the first time I saw it.
Oh.
It was at the factory. Yeah.
Can you remember sort of the thoughts and the feelings, the emotions? Was it just, well, this is just another car, or we'll see how it does?
I think at the beginning it was just another car, but when you came to look close at it, we were beginning to think, well, here is something which is a bit different, and so then the thoughts came through, to think about the launch of it. Yeah.
And when it came to launching in the UK, obviously it's a very different time 35 years ago compared to what it is today. I mean, we live in an incredibly noisy environment. There is so much content out there now. But back then it was far more traditional.
Oh, very. I mean, you know, we had the 120 odd journalists spread all over the country from all the newspapers and the magazines, of course. And you had to get everything prepared for them in writing. There was no computer system then. It was all press packs made up, photographs made up. Everybody had to be given the information for the car in paperwork, and then they had to work from there.
And were you given a brief from the factory? Did they say, this is how we want you to market it?
No, there was nothing. That just was left to us entirely. You know, they gave us all the information about the car, what it was, how it fitted, and we had to decide to launch it, what to do with it.
So what did you do?
Well, first of all, because it was coming in early in the year, we needed to find somewhere where we'd have a bit of sunshine. So I arranged to do the launch in Athens, and so I had like 22 UK spec cars sent from the factory to the Greek importer, and he brought them into Greece for us. And then we sent the mechanics over to plate them and PDI them. And then over the next 2.5 weeks, we flew in groups and groups and groups of journalists. And at the end, the dealer network came.
Yeah. When you were there, what was the initial response like from the journalists?
Oh, I think they were just amazed, quite honestly. They hadn't seen anything like this for so many years, and suddenly you have a little two-seater where you can put the hood down and drive around in the sunshine. It was like something that they hadn't seen for such a long time.
Yeah.
So they were very, very impressed with it.
So, in terms of like your timeline with the car, correct me if I'm wrong, but the impression I'm getting now is you've gone to the factory, been introduced to what is now a very iconic, legendary car.
That's right.
And at that time, like for you, had no idea what it was going to be, and it was, you know, almost another car.
Yeah.
And then you've gone to Athens, and you've seen, you know, these 20 or so journalists drive it, and you've seen their reaction. Was it then that you started to think, hang on a second, this might be something quite special?
I think so, and I think the main thing was after Athens, when we actually came to the launch date, and we received all of the press reports and the magazine reports, there wasn't one bad report. I mean, everybody was over the moon about it, and they just hadn't seen anything like it for so long.
Yeah.
And the journalists, particularly the magazines, who were very technical, knew when they could see something that was going to be very, very different and very popular.
Yeah.
But who knew? I had no idea at the time it was going to become a phenomenon like this.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, we saw briefly earlier. We saw Tom and Bob, who I'm christened the godfathers of the MX5. Even they said, you know, we had no idea. And I think my favourite line that they've said is, somebody else liked it. And I really, really like that line. I mean, that could be applied to somebody. Somebody else liked it, and you know, that could be a fantastic motto for life. Obviously, a lot of other people liked this. So when the car started going into the dealers, I mean, I'm assuming you monitored sort of the sales of the car.
Of course, yeah, but we were limited on numbers, of course. This is the trouble. At the very beginning, there were still limitations on the numbers that we could bring in. So it was a matter of, you know, deciding specifications and colours and whatever to sort out what models to bring in for the dealers, you know. But that happened for the first year, really, and then we could set ourselves a bit of a programme.
Let's just dive into that a little bit deeper, because a lot of people wouldn't realise that there was a limitation on how many you could bring in.
Yeah.
What was the limitation?
I don't know what it was, particularly on the MX5, because we were limited on all of the models, so we had to decide to break down the different models of Mazda on the numbers that we thought the dealers would want. So we'll obviously do a lot of to and from with the dealer network to find out the volumes of each model that they wanted to have.
Yeah.
And then we tried to do our orders, because we had to order everything so far in advance, and then there was a month while they were on the sea before the models actually arrived. So keeping everything to the level of what the dealers wanted was quite difficult.
Yeah. And when you had those reports and you started seeing it go into dealers, did you have an idea of who would be buying this car? Did you sort of have a person in mind, or were you really sort of, I'm not sure?
I think we were not sure. We needed to get feedback from the dealers to find out, but we actually launched, every dealer did his own launch locally for the car and invited all of their customers in. And from there, we began to see the kind of person at the time who was going to buy it. But it was a mixture, really, because there were people who were more elderly and thought about old sports cars, and then
Yes.
there was the new younger generation who would see something like this for the first time.
Right.
So there was a mixture that we had to try and get a balance for.
I mean, we'll be talking about this in a minute,
Yeah,
Stephen.
just
Talking
say.
about who the current MX5 new buyer is, and I'd be fascinated to see if that has changed.
Yeah.
But for you, it was sort of an older generation who are coming back to sports cars, or a new generation first time going in one of a car of this type.
And then there was, of course, the earlier, they thought this is a hairdresser's car, this is just made for the lady hairdressers. Well, it was not that at all, really.
When did that? Because we see that on internet now is full of memes and funny content and so forth. You always see sort of because Miata and so on and so forth, and they've long been nicknamed a hairdresser's car because in some respects they're not taken seriously as a sports car. Say if you try and compare it to a Porsche Boxer, and people think Porsche Boxer is a serious sports car, and it's almost MX-5 isn't taken seriously. When did you see that first appear?
Well, I think the change was when we first came in. One of the first things I wanted to do was to create this MX5 race championship, because I wanted people to see it as a sports car, a performance sports car, not just as something driving around the street. So the first 2 years of launch, when I ran the MX5 Racing Championship, that really got it off the ground in front of enthusiasts rather than just the general public. And I think those 2 years of the MX5 challenge were really worth getting the car into that kind of people.
Yeah. What for you then was your most memorable experience with the MX-5?
I think in when the launch in Greece, when a pair of the journalists went off the route and drove into a little river, we had to drag them out.
Drove into a river.
No, they went off the route completely. But other than that, I think the favourite things were, I think, some of the results in the MX5 race challenge. Like Patrick Watts winning the first championship, and then we gave him the drive in the British Touring Car Championship. As part of his reward for winning the championship. But lots of fun memories anyway.
And did you have one?
What?
Did you have an MX-5?
Oh yes, I've always had them. Yeah. Of course, after I left Mazda, we went to Spain, and I had one in Spain, and then we still got ours. So yes, always.
What have you got now?
Just the MX-5 and an 07 model now.
An 07, so that's, if I'm right, Mark 3. Mark 3.
Mark 3, yeah.
And we've got some Mark 4s here with us, which brings me very nicely there onto you there, Stephen. So what does a normal day for you look like? What's an average day as an MX-5 brand manager?
I don't really have an average day because it really does differ and depends on what's coming through. So obviously we have mild kind of refreshes of the vehicle, whether it's down to like performance or CO2 figures. So some of the non-glamorous stuff, if you will.
Yeah.
The information comes through over from Japan, and then have to decode that and make sure that everything is all correct, and then make sure that obviously we make sure that raw information then comes into the MX-5 that we know and love today, and looks a bit more glamorous than a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, it's bringing it to life, isn't it?
Yes.
There is always a story in data. You can be manipulated and tell in so many different ways. Before we go any further, could we very briefly understand what your role is? Because a director of marketing, people sort of have an idea from that. What that entails about getting the car in front of people and marketing the vehicle. What's a brand manager? And a brand manager for MX-5. What does that mean?
So essentially, as I say, it's getting the raw data through and making sure the cars are certified and homologated, etc., so they can go on sale and be sold. Then do the things like the brochures, the website, do things like training. In the past, when there have been special editions, I'm able to get kind of involved in that. So 30th anniversary, we involved with a photo shoot with a famous Formula 1 photographer and did kits for that. Same as the 100th anniversary, we did kind of a special edition kit as well for those vehicles. So it can be pretty varied from what we do. And it's also helping to immerse people that are new to the Mazda brand. So whether there are car salesmen or service, or might be an agency that works for Mazda, we help to ingrain them into the Mazda way of life, and Mazda MX-5 is a big part of that.
So would it be fair to say that your role as MX-5 brand manager, you're almost sort of like the know-all knowledge source of MX5 in the UK?
I try to be.
For a very diverse group of people.
There's a lot of information. There's a lot of, 156 special editions I think there is now. So I try to keep on top of my game on that side of things and know, about the history. And certainly speaking to Tom, speaking to Bob, and just researching all the past, and speaking to David as well earlier on. It's just really interesting to know all the past parts that aren't necessarily written in a book or recorded.
Yes.
That it's really interesting to know. I was talking about the special editions back in the day when they used to come through. It was just essentially a 1.8 MX5 with steel wheels on, and they'd go through to the docks over in Sheerness. Essentially take the wheels off, put some new alloy wheels on and test it out and test all different accessories, and so those sound like some really fun days. Unfortunately, with these days of like homologation and so on and so forth and really tight restrictions, we're very restricted on what we can do to sell a brand new car now, unfortunately.
Yes. Do you think the dealer network will be doing any like evenings of the MX5, like an evening at their showroom?
So yeah, there was one recently this week. I can't think of the dealer name, so you have to excuse me, but I know there is a spattering of dealers that do get involved with MX5, specifically MX5 owners clubs, and have rallies and days out sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be involved in a couple of those this summer.
So back in the day when people did special editions, so they could go far beyond just cosmetic. You would see special editions that would have performance enhancements or various different things. Now, for the 30th anniversary, that was a very special edition that we did, which have got the beautiful raised wheels, the Brembo brakes, and etc., etc., etc. Because of the legislations that are in place now, we are far more restricted on what can be changed for a special edition.
Yeah, so with the cars, they obviously they have to pass the certain emissions testings and be monitored for those sorts of things. Things like aerodynamic spoilers can make a slight change to CO2s and so on and so forth. So governmental restrictions mean that we're very restricted what we can do.
Wow.
Even down to maybe even retrimming a leather seat.
Yeah.
Because the seats have got airbags in. The seats are designed in a certain way that the airbag, if deployed in the side, will work in a certain way.
Yes.
If the seats are restitched, that could then void that, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
So it is a lot of legalities that and restrictions that we have to adhere to.
So is that sort of the main challenge that you face with marketing MX5 today, or what are the challenges you face with marketing MX5? Because back when it came out new, one of the challenges would have been for people to understand and get the car out there, and then once they do get it, they're sort of, okay, I understand it, you've done sort of the legwork on it. For you, people understand what MX5 is now, so what challenges do you face?
One of the things that we do find is getting the publicity for the car in the way that there are no competitors out there. So when we had Fiat 124 or even MGTF out there, there'll be comparisons whenever a new car will be out. MX5 will always be there, and it'd always be the benchmark. As there now are no specific competitors, it's very hard to be able to kind of get that out into the motoring press. But we do find that with the motoring press, they're always testing SUVs and so on and so forth. So when they do get the chance to test an MX5, they really relish the chance.
Yes. So, the car market is changing dramatically at the moment. We're seeing an entire new propulsion system coming into the market as we move from internal combustion to electrification. We've talked about all of the different legislation. Who then, today, we heard earlier the original Mark 1s were for sort of an older generation coming back to sports car, and the new generation coming to it for the first time. Who's MX5 for today?
We're seeing it's still for a variety of people. Certainly for someone who wants a rear-wheel drive, front-engined, manual gearbox sports car experience, there is nothing else in the marketplace. We do certainly see in the used market, it is a very desirable car for more younger people to get involved with. And obviously we see people modify them and use them for drifting and so on and so forth. So but it all revolves around the MX5 brand, but they can all associate even the current MX5 and the Mark 1 MX5 having very similar architecture, layout, and that Jimber attire feeling of car and driver as one, which is what Mazda try to build into every single one of their vehicles, which is essentially the core of making it fun to drive.
And do you think some of the stereotypes still exist around the car?
Not so much. I think that's the whole hairdresser thing. The same has certainly died a pass. I don't really ever hear that much anymore. If I do hear it, it's maybe associated from many years in the past.
Yes,
and I think more people kind of appreciate what the car is now, being a two-seater soft-top roadster in a world of arguably big SUVs and lots of safety equipment on cars, and to have something that's rear-wheel drive that people can safely, have fun with, I think is a unique thing for us as Mazda.
I think that is the main thing, because 30 years you've seen the car, it's okay, we've seen change, but we haven't seen dramatic, and this is still the same basic, enjoyable little sports car that it was 30 years ago.
Yes,
and that's
indeed,
what people like.
Yeah, I mean, look, right, so quick show of hands out there. Who's got a Mark 1? Put your hands up for me. Who's got Mark 2? Mark 3? And Mark 4? Right, put your hand up if you think your Mark is the best. There you go. So it doesn't matter which Mark you've got, everybody adores their little MX-5, and it is that spirit that's in them. But what impresses me most with the current generation, and it's something that I really struggle with, is I had a Mark 1 and I loved it, and I sold it because I was doing 100 miles a day back and forth and I was ruining it. I felt awful. And now I sit in a Mark 4 and it's so close to the Mark 1. It is so close, but it's still, it meets all of the, I mean, legislation is so much stricter than it was 35 years ago, and it's so close to it, and that for me is infinitely impressive.
Yeah, we do lots of training, and we usually kind of do track experiences and so on and so forth with professional race drivers, and they absolutely rave about the MX-5. And the most popular one of that is the 1.5, because they feel that they can just throw that around and they've got full control. They absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So I think today it's still got that reputation of being such a fun to drive sports car.
That's what it is. I think it is the fun to drive is the main thing.
Yes.
You get in it and you feel it, and when you start to drive, you're in something really, really special. And
Yes.
It goes through your whole body. That is the feeling of an MX-5.
I think what is most impressive with it is it feels special, but it's accessible. And that's sort of one of the challenges. I mean, I do so many different shows and events, everything from supercars all the way down to mini metro shows. Absolutely the whole spectrum. And for me, supercars are fantastic. What marvellous piece of machinery. But I find it very difficult to connect with them because they're very elitist. You have to, do you know what I mean? Not everybody can enjoy one of those. But I mean, you could pick up a Mark 3 now. I was looking at an Auto Trader for like 1,500 quid, perfectly usable. It's so accessible, and it still feels very special. So, question for you then. How many special editions did you say? 56?
56. Might be a Heinz 57.
I was going to say, is there going to be a 57? Is there going to be a 35th anniversary?
Unfortunately, no, there's not going to be a 35th anniversary.
There's not?
No. Not unless somebody else knows something else I don't, but no, currently there is no future plans.
Well, Mazda might be pulling the same trick that they played with you, all the way back when. Just take you over to the factory, but by the way...
This is it. Yeah.
They do like to keep their cards close to their chest with the MX-5, I must admit. It is very special to them. And so I try to find out as much as I possibly can whenever I get the opportunity to speak to some of the higher-ups at Mazda, but very much it's cards kept close to their chest because of the love they have for the car.
Okay. And is there anything in the pipeline then? Is there a Mark 5 on the way?
I cannot confirm nor deny any such rumours, I'm
afraid. Okay, so let's talk about what you've got here today. I'm mindful we've got about 5 minutes before we have this fantastic band on. Did you hear them warming up earlier? Did anybody hear these guys warming up earlier? They sounded fantastic. So they're going to be on at 12:30. But around here, you've got some fantastic cars, and there's a facelift one here this weekend?
So yeah, the MX5 was facelifted, or a very minor facelift earlier on this year, with some slight technological improvements. We've got the 1.5 exclusive line over there. That's got, you know, you've got the revisions to the front headlamps and rear tail lamps. They've redesigned all the wheels within the range and shaved more weight as part of their Mazda's Gram strategy, which is shaving off any excess weight possible. And we've also got over there 2 Hamuras, 1 RF and 1 Roadster, and that is the car we've got now. It's got the BBS alloys, it's got the Brembo brakes, but now we've got the Recaros in there as standard as well, which we've wanted in the UK as a standard piece of equipment for a while.
Because I remember when Mark IV came out, and I was very, very lucky to be invited to take one up the Goodwood Hill, and I absolutely loved it. And it was a Sport Recaro in white, and I adored that car, and I just keep watching the values till I can finally afford one. But I have to say that it's a very deep blue, and when the sun shines on it, it really does pop. It looks fantastic.
It does, and the aero grey in the middle, the RF, that really does look special in that vehicle, that colour, offset with the gloss black wing mirrors and the BBS alloy wheels. Really, I think makes it look something special.
Very good.
You've got the BBR and the tuned-up cars. Do any of the dealers do any special editions of their own for local people, or
Sometimes dealers do.
change the wheels or change various?
They don't really change the wheels. Sometimes you get MX5s where they rack them. And you see some of them within the dealer network. But again, due to homologation rules, they can't tune it and then sell it as a brand new car.
Yep.
So they could only ever do that to a used car. So once a car's been registered, essentially they can do what they want.
So the BBRs have to be, they had to be homologated to get those modifications on them?
So though the BBR ones are only available on a registered vehicle, so essentially it'd be classed as new, even though it could be a brand new vehicle just registered. It has to be registered, and then the modifications have to take place.
So on that registration certificate, it'd still say Mazda MX-5 and then whatever edition it was. It wouldn't ever say MX-5 BBR.
No.
Yeah. No. But I have to say, BBR have lent me, if you were at the rally last year, you would have seen I was in a Mark IV supercharged BBR, and we pushed it around. Did you see us? Were you there for the National Rally?
Well, unfortunately last year I was on holiday so I unfortunately missed last year.
I'm sure a few people were there. Last year we had tremendous fun where we were pushing the car around the arena, and Ian was driving it. Who was at the rally last year at British Motor Museum? Quick show of hands, who was there? Right. Did you remember when we were pushing that car around and Ian was driving, blindfolded, and ran over my camera? Do you remember that? Well, the tripod has survived, it's back, and I'm now back in this lovely supercharged BBR. Now, I'm going to be really honest. Who had a Mark III? Quick show of hands, who had a Mark III? Right, I'll be really honest with you, I know you're going to hate me. Of all the MX-5s that I've driven, the Mark III was the one that I really struggled to gel with. I just really struggled to gel with it. However, this weekend I have had an epiphany in this. It is absolutely fantastic. They've squeezed another 90 horsepower out of it.
Well, that's what I want to drive, so when are you going to let me drive that?
We'll go and do that. Should me and him go and have a drive out? And we'll try and do an interview with you while I'm whizzing around all the roads around here. No, please do have a look around this, and a big thank you to BBR for putting me in this for the weekend. They've got some of their modified cars up over there, and there are hundreds of cars here today to have a look around, and that's all thanks to you guys. I was saying earlier that the best thing about MX5 Owners Club and MX5 owners as a whole, it's not the cars, it's the people.
Exactly that.
I've all the shows I may do everything, Minis, Land Rovers, Aston Martins, absolutely. The warmest group of people is you guys. Every time I come back, it's like I'm coming back to an old family reunion.
It's enthusiasm, isn't it? Enthusiasts are the people that make it go.
Yeah, I've been looking after MX5 for about 5 years, and I absolutely love it and relish it. I might even probably be the longest brand manager of MX5, I think, to date so far. I think Vicky Willis, who was a couple of people before me, I think I might be competing with her, but certainly I still work. Oh, and certainly catching yourself up there. But I still work with Vicky, the former brand analyst of Mazda MX-5. So we've both got a lot of passion and love for the vehicle, as well as my other colleague Grant Richards, who's over there somewhere. over the Mazda stand. He's got a Mark 1 himself, so we've all got that own kind of love and passion as well for the vehicle.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to put your hands together for our two guests today and a fascinating insight into the marketing of this wonderful little car.
Firstly, I'm sure most of us in the room know who our guests are, but firstly, I'd like you to introduce yourselves and talk about what your roles are in the birth of this incredible car. Bob first.
Okay, well, I led the instigator. I'm Bob Hall, evil twin brother of Jim Hall. That's right, I have a twin brother, it's scary. I was raised on an unending line of British sports cars. My dad lived in Southern California, so they were really good for working on your skin cancer, which I don't have. And that's how I got hooked on sports cars. My dad was a petrol head like you couldn't believe. We'd go to any motor race within 500 miles of Los Angeles, as long as it had a right-hand turn. Okay, so none of this oval stuff. Drag racing was drag racing because it was a drag to go to. And that's it. I ended up in my life as a journalist. I met Mr. Yamamoto, who was head of R&D at Mazda at that time. For some reason, he and I hit it off. And it got to the point I visited Japan twice a year, and we had to go and make an appearance, command appearance at his. And he asked me once, what should we do after the first generation R7? I came up with this really stupid idea of Mazda sports car, a little two-seater, four-cylinder. I did a sketch that was hideously bad. Okay. On a chalkboard, mind you, which shows another bit of concern, or lack of concern about art. And he ended up hiring me, and I went to work at the U.S. R&D Center as a journalist. I thought I'm going to be working in PR, and he said, no, you'll be working in design and planning. Okay, so I was hired on, and I don't want to be specific about this, the 21st of October 1981. And I'm sitting at my desk the second or third week of January 82, working on the B-Series pickup truck. That was exciting, I tell you. And I feel this on my shoulder, and I look up, here's Mr. Yamamoto, who would make unannounced visits to offshore places. Well, hi boss, how are you? Well, what are you working on? B-Series pickup truck. You should do a sports car project. You did. And I had completely forgotten. I said, what? He says, on the chalkboard. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. He says, don't worry, I'll talk to your boss. And my boss came down, the local boss, and said, well, son, Yamamoto-san says you must work on the sports car. And we agreed, you can work on it as much as you want until 8:30 in the morning. And you can work on it as much as you want between noon and 1. And then you can work on it as much after 5:30. Next day I came to the office at 5 in the morning, and I started working. Not doing anything relating to design, just doing a draft and maybe what it should be, where it should go, what it should be like. And I worked on that for the year. In late of 82, we hired Mark Jordan, designer for Opel. And in 83, we hired Tom. And Tom will probably get some background, but I had known him from 1971, where he saw this blonde guy reading a Japanese magazine. And it was an issue he hadn't seen yet, which was especially fun. And Tom came in, and we created this group of revolutionaries who decided this car would be done. And thankfully, we were in Mazda and not in Toyota or Nissan, because they managed to get people with Yamamoto's guidance kind of programmed. At one point in time, my boss asked me to pick up all the Japanese visitors, guys from engineering, planning, design. And it got to the point where one of them said, if Bob is going to pick you up at the airport, be prepared to hear a lot about sports cars.
Yeah. So, Tom Matano, what was it like joining the Rebel Alliance? What was that like?
There are official versions and unofficial versions. I just have to say one thing. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, my grandpa had a Morris Oxford in Nagasaki City with a red leather, and I still remember it, and a crack of a leather. So I got a leather fetish, and I know I have to say carefully about that word, but that's what it is. So any car I own, if there are no leather option, I had to make it leather seats because of that. So and then another thing, that he owned a petrol station. And every morning I go to the station and open the garage door, the fume come out of the room is so fantastic.
Heavenly.
Yeah, so heavenly, I
love that moment every day, and since then I got a petrol head for sure. So that's my background. I went to the engineering school first, but then I couldn't do one mathematics class to pass to graduate, so the dean says either you're going to try it again or leave the school. And I said, who's the teacher this time? It's the same guy that I failed twice before. He's a Japanese guy. Do the class in English, write everything in English, speak everything. His pronunciation was so bad that as soon as he opened his mouth in the morning, I couldn't hear anything. So that's why I failed. And I wouldn't pass it again, so I left the school. And I wanted to be in a design field, so I switched the major and I applied for the school in the US. And that's how I came to the US and then met Bob. And then later on, I went to work for BMW. I wanted to learn how to design one design lasting 10 years rather than every year to have a little minor change of this and that. I was sick, tired of it. I was in GM and Holden in Australia. So that's why I went to BMW. And they were 20 below zero, and then dark in the morning and dark in the afternoon to come home to, which was quite different from living in California, sunny skies. Yeah, same thing too, yeah, Melbourne too. Anyway, so, then I got one magical call from this guy. Bob says, you want to come back to Southern California? And I just said yes. I didn't think of anything about money or position or anything. I said yes. And he goes, okay, I'll talk to the system to get you in. I said, okay. And then next thing I got a call, said, well, you got to meet somebody from design division in Mazda, but we pitch you as the good designer, Japanese, but can't speak Japanese that well. And so I had the interview with funny foreign accents of my Japanese. That's what he instructed for me to do. I just couldn't do it. I had to say honestly. But the guy who interviewed me loves Jaguar D-Type, and I love Jaguar D-Type too. So he hit on really well, and we became a best friend of, he's a boss, but a best partner in the job and everything.
So you joined. I want to ask Bob.
I can tell you why I hired.
Okay, tell me why you're hired first. Because
The force is strong with this one.
yes, absolutely. You can probably feel it. They're both Jedi. You're a work guy. So how come you end up working in? What is sort of a visual? Or did you use words to create the vision?
I actually started wanting to go into design. Like I was planning on it and everything. And General Motors had a school for pre-university students for design, and I passed to get in with my portfolio. But I was a senior in high school. I'm really ready for this. And I started drawing the same car over and over and over. I thought I lost it. So I thought, okay. Oh, pardon. Actually, maybe I should walk away from the speaker.
No, it's okay. I think it's just a little bit more projection. Maybe the microphone will be a bit higher on the left hand.
I can go right now.
Yeah.
So I ended up saying no more design for me. I'm no good at it, and I signed up at UCLA for a main would be economics, my secondary would be Japanese. I did high school in Japan for a year. And in the end, I got an offer from a car magazine that I had written one story for a year earlier. And they hired me, I said, $500 a month. Oh, that's a fortune. And I went to work writing it. And as a journalist, I gotta tell you, automotive journalists, if you have an interest, you need to have the ability to type and spell most words correctly and an opinion. So that's damn easy, right? And I met Mr. Yamamoto as a journalist, who at that time, Yamamoto-san was the head of all R&D for Mazda. And we hit it off like a house on fire. So that was my toe in going from journalism. When I first started working with design and planning, I was kind of working more on planning, especially after I was told to work on the Lightweight Sports project. So I guess I used my words to try to create a concept that people could visualize themselves. Because I wanted the individual to see what it was. I didn't want to dictate what it was. And that feedback you would get was incredibly critical to the project. Because it's not just, you know, nowadays, one person cannot design, develop, and build a car. Well, unless you're Elon Musk and you decide to design the thing you did in 4th grade and make it a truck. That's the exception. Maybe it's exception proving the rule, right? When you look at the Tesla truck, that was amazing.
It's a romance of being on wheels.
It's bloody gas. But I don't want to find a point on that. But it's this team effort, and the secret with MX5 was building the team. So I helped a little bit by getting Tom and Mark Jordan in there, and Yamamoto understood. So when it came time to actually do the project, we kind of worked beneath the surface of the production system to get this thing to a stage where we could show it to people and they would understand it, more than just words. And Tom was ultra critical in that, because he was the guy that pushed so much to be able to do a 3D model, clay model, in our studio. He had done one when he first came in. He had dropped in the MPV project, and he did a sketch program, and it was bloody great. It was better than the MPV we built. And they did a full-scale model in foam. Imagine a styrofoam that's finished so it looks like a car. But it had to be done outside. We didn't have the capability. And that car, even though they didn't like it, well, they didn't pick the design, they might have liked it. Because we had done that, we were able to push, and Mr. Fukuda, who was the head of Tom's support, the ability to do the full scale. Then Mr. Fukuda was announced he was going to leave, and he did so well in California. He became head of Mazda Design, excuse me. And Tom became studio chief, which was overdue, but deserved. And that's when things became real. So my word stories kind of got a little bit different after that, because there was something people look at first and go, I don't want that.
But you created a concept and you sold it well as well. And that's part of the difference.
It was once postulated by Sato, who was a designer. He said, did you sell this program by threatening to show photos of certain corporate executives going into hotel rooms with goats? I said, no, I didn't have to fall back on that. Would you like to see the goat photos?
It is, for me, it had to be a no-brainer. Because what was there around at the time? Nothing else.
That was also a problem. Right. Because particularly when you got up into upper management, and Mazda had a collection of board members, some of whom had been moved up internally, some of whom were from outside. And right or wrong, the outside board members held the purse strings. And sometimes they were the most difficult to convince. Should I pass on about one of the board members from outside? I think he was from Sumitomo Bank. Very nice guy. We actually became pretty good pals. And I was in a board meeting for crying out loud. He said, Bob-san, what's the volume of these cars in USA right now? I said, well, you could buy one of two-seat open cars. I mean, and we're talking unique vehicles. Fiat 124 Spider and the Alfa Spider. And you picked one based on how much oil you wanted on your garage floor. Alfa was obviously the winner there. But I said, well, volume is about 4,000 cars a year. He looked at me, and he was bald like me, and his eyebrow went up so high it became a toupee. But he said, you want us to invest about $250 million US, $250 million US, to develop a car for 4,000 units a year? And I said, I think we can do better.
Tom, tell me, you walk into a design studio, you've been hired, and you've got this small group of people come from BMW. What's your initial impression, and how do you start moving things on?
Well, first impression, what have I done? Quick job without checking the place or anything, and got there. It's just no studio to work on, just office space. So that's what the first impression. But nonetheless, the reason I left BMW was the one design you do for 10 years to get into the market, and you'll be responsible for that design for another 10 years until the next model replaced it. And I was like 35 or so. So my life been fixed with one car for 20 years. And if I'd like to get another project and only 2 cars out of BMW I could do. Now, I wanted to have a time, long-lasting design, but commit 20 years of my life to one design is not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do sports cars, I wanted to do a truck. whatever. But a BMW at the time was only the stands, and 3 or 5 or 7. I got into 3, and that's it. So I said, I can't do this commitment for another 20, 30 years. At that time, he called, my school called, so I came over to the California studio.
And 10 or 20 years in Munich.
Well, yeah, well, Munich wasn't too bad, but the weather was, yeah. Anyway, so, but nonetheless, this is the one I had to commit to do the best I can. And the main reason was that they were starting the sports car. And when I'd been kicked out of school in college in Japan, there was a mathematics class, and then I had to come to the States. And as soon as I landed in LAX airport that day, and I looked around the sky, I said, I had to do a convertible. I had to drive the convertible to experience. So that was the first thing. I bought the little Fiat 850 Spider, and then driving it for 3 years in the school. Another thing, like you said, if you imagine that time, the Japanese management, I was like 35 or so, above my age, not many people had a cars in the family, as a family car. Because right after the war, that age group, you don't have a license or anything. It's a very rare thing. To let alone to have them having 2-seater convertible sports car, it's 0, pretty much. Only 1 or 2 maybe. So, even though you said no-brainer, that doesn't mean no-brainer in Japan. Everything has to be explained, every little thing. The feel of the wheels, or how the brakes will feel, handlings feel, the tailpipe noise sounds like. Everything has to be explained for them to understand.
I actually just want to jump in there. Is it true that during testing there were pressure pads fitted to the gear stick and steering wheel and the pedals to see how much effort was needed to put onto them?
They actually were doing that with some of the competitive vehicles at first. The Elan, the Spit, and that was done to get feedback. Now, program manager, Mr. Hirai, was really great because unlike a lot of the Japanese program managers, he was about ready to retire. He got this as a retirement gift because they figured, well, he's going to go. This lightweight sport, it was not very well supported in Japan at certain levels of engineering. Okay? And it was kind of, this is going away prison. And Hirai, the greatest thing about it was he knew what he didn't know. So he went and tried to find out things. So he did this, and nobody else had ever done this. Even put sensors there, why? And that's where his brilliance worked to take this concept, to take this, this sheet of paper and take this hunk of clay and turn it into a real car. Because if it weren't for somebody with Hirai's brilliance or Yamamoto picking Hirai, or we'd still be at Mazda. Tom would be sketching stuff out. I'd be writing more vehicle concepts for something nobody wanted.
But that attention to detail, because there isn't a single element of the MX-5 that isn't perfect, apart from rust prevention on the MD.
Wait, what's that?
Rust prevention with the MD. Yeah. I'm a bit of experience. But that attention to detail is, you must be, as part of the design team, there must be elements of the car that you're particularly proud of. And I'm thinking rear lights.
That's a tough one to say. Now you have to do something to decline yourself. Now, a particular part is the rear end of the cars. I'm always proud of what we've done. I wanted to have Japanese cars, the Mazda to be identifiable amongst all the Japanese, to be different from any other. And the point I made was that people look at the rear end more while you are driving. So why design all the time and effort to do a little tricky little molding and shapes on the grille, which most Japanese cars do, but forget to do more on the rear by tail lamp and license plate and tail lamp. So I wanted to make the rear end to be something special that you really remember by. And in the US, you park the cars nose in, so you see more rear end than before. Freeway and all, it's almost one-way street, you just look at the cars from behind. So I made the memorable rear end to be the Mazda brand identity to start off with. So the MX-5 was the first one to start with that, and then 1990 to 95, the series of cars we came up with, like the RX-7, the 929, all these cars are designed under that philosophy. And then to be rear end to be. So the one thing I thought was at the time, every car's got a very flat deck lid or hood lid at the time on any sedans at the time. Only the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow had a little crown on the back of the trunk. And I thought, okay, if we could do a little bit more of a shape, which could be helping aerodynamic anyway, just a little bit of higher points of the spoiler. So functionally good, raise a little bit, that much of a trunk space could be gained as well, and to get the identity as well. So
That's 20% in the case of Miata.
so that's why we came up with that whole idea of that. And then that's, I think, is the most proud of. And the prototype came, they clinicked it in Japan, they had score high on the rear end, but the sports car nose wasn't score high in Japan. And they came to the States, the reversal. They loved the rear end of the, well, they loved the front end of the car in US, not the rear end. Because the rear end was a typical Japanese flat tail lamp, flat deck and everything. So we went back and said, we proposed this, why not put this back on? And then they already engineered everything, but then they found out the tail lamp need somewhat like 1 inch or so of a space to create the distance from the bulb center to the plastic so the plastic wouldn't melt with the heat. They needed that much of air volume. So I said, chance came in, no, if we ask to change this, it's difficult for them to change. They came to me and said, is there anything we can do to change this tail lamp to meet the clearance of 1 inch? I said, okay. Yeah, I don't have to ask, I do them a favor, right? So I get another favor back another time. So I put the puff on the rear end to make sure that everything is all puff, you know, same kind of flavor. Wherever you touch, your hands feel the hood, the fender, rear fender, the quarter, the tail lamp, all feel the same way. So it's like part of the one body. So that's why.
My response is a lot quicker because Tom's got more detailed knowledge than I do. But if you talk about what I like most about the car, and this applies to NA and B and C and D, I like just about everything above the tread of the tires.
Yeah, and so do we. Tom, my favourite detail on the car is the rear light, and it was also the favourite detail of the New York Museum of Modern Art because they put one on display as an exhibit. How did that feel?
Well, you know, the funny thing was that I saw this quote on a fashion store, the men's fashion store had a quote about this tail lamp. If 1,000 years ago somebody walked on, found this little jewel in the sand, you dig it out and it felt like special. And he described it. That's like a Miata tail lamp would be. And that's how his recommendation got into the museum. His name is, can't remember now, but he's a British designer, very leading industrial designer here. Lovegrove. Ross Lovegrove, you may have heard of it. He's one of the top industrial designers. Nonetheless, he was the one promoting that tail lamp to be in MoMA.
Well, they're fantastic. Now, let's move the story on a bit. You've got your Rebel Alliance in California, and you were asked to put forward your design to go up against the Hiroshima design team and the Tokyo design team. Tell us a bit about that process, Bob. What was it all about?
Okay, the project now has been given a go-ahead for development. Originally, it was this underground thing that we had at a certain level of management, the ability and the budget to do, but it had not yet gone full face to corporate management to say, we're actually going to build this. And Yamamoto brought it up, and we had first a sketch clinic. In the sketch clinic, we supplied the 2-seat front-engine rear-drive Roadster. The head office in Hiroshima did a front-drive 2-seat coupe that, for lack of a better description, imagine a notchback CRX. Okay? And Tokyo, which had an even less advanced studio than we had, they're working on an office building in Tokyo across the street from the Imperial Palace. They did a mid-engine. We all used the same power plant, but the layouts are different. And at the end of the sketch program, we came in last place. And the guy who's in charge of the program felt sorry for us. And we had just managed to get this facility to build a clay model, full-scale model done. So it's like, oh, well, of course we won't be considering them in the sketch clinic, but we should let them build the model and just say, thank you, very good job. So the model was built, and Tom and his guys must have worked 28 hours a day, okay? And we got the thing over there, and we cheated, okay? We built a fiberglass roof for it. The models didn't have full interiors. So we put the fiberglass roof on, we put a hunk of tape, we put a piece of foam where the break was between the windscreen header and the roof. Then we put a piece, all cars were red, we put a red tape over it so you couldn't see the party line. And we went last in the presentation. For the car that's not really under serious consideration, this is, yeah, we'll take care of it, Americans. And we went last and we showed the car, and I remember the program chief, the guy who had my position line from the concept stage for the front drive car was like grinning, and we come up, we do the presentation, and we say, now wait a minute, let's show you what the car is supposed to look like. Huh? And we peeled the tape off, lifted the roof off, took it off. Before we even set the roof on the ground, the guy in charge of the mid-engine car stood and said, build that one.
Wow. So your competitor was like, you win.
Yeah, and that, I have to admit, made me feel real good.
Yeah.
One thing I had learned after the fact was that regardless of how it came out, Mr. Yamamoto had lobbied members of the board to go I learned this 10 years later.
Okay.
And his logic was, Yamamoto was fully understood. We have a front engine rear drive car with the RX-7. We have a new RX-7 coming. Front engine rear drive made sense. Yamamoto also, early on in the project, when he went live, so we're going to do this, you had a team say, let's put a rotary in it. And the first guy who said no was Yamamoto, the man who helped develop the rotary engine. Because he fully understood that this is the MX-5 position. Okay, so let's have the thing of, I should do it this way, sorry. Price and performance. The MX-5 is here. And he knew the RX-7. The MX-5 had to be someplace else, so we didn't cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
And I think that the gap that was selected was just about right. And the way we explained it was, this car is the feeder car, it's the training wheels for the RX-7. It ended up doing maybe a little too well.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. Tom, how did it feel to win that competition, and what was the next step?
Well, next step is to push it to the production. Then advanced design's one thing. Feasibility is almost zero when you look at the production level manufacturing cost model analysis. So that was usually taking place in Japan, not in the US. So after we won the competition, that program became an official production program with different code number and everything. Then the whole controllers went to Japan. So my job, or our job, is to educate the people there to make critical decision points what this car should be. So my role is now being bilingual, although they think I got a good deal because 2 languages both ways. Mm-hmm. But I said I got doubly tasked to do 2 languages, so I had to pay twice. No, yeah, 2 headaches, and I had to get twice as much as you guys do. But that was my comment. Anyway, so. And I got a pretty good idea of living in a convertible for a few years by then. And then I had to explain, not Bob can push it in English, but I had to translate it into Japanese to understand what driving that every day. Okay? And so that's my job, to make sure that those things are understood, or the having enthusiasts to drive and keep the cars in many years, like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I went to the engineer for British market. Could you design something special on the engine when you put the dates of your purchase as a direct, set the timer? In some point in time, they start leaking oil on Friday night. So you can have a little drip of oil, not too much, just a little drop or 2, so that you can say, oh, I gotta work on the car this weekend. That gives it, open the hood and all. So that gave them an excuse to work on. Oh, okay, sorry. Anyway, so that was the one that says, what? Intentional oil leak? we can't do that. So obviously that didn't happen. For US market, how about the rattle, the design of the rattle, so that about 2 years time, there's a little leak on the reins or the rattle on the dashboard. Didn't do it. No. And another one I said was, how about no ashtray in this car? And we are all smokers, 20 of us in the
Speak for
room.
yourself.
Yeah, me too. But it's just, what? You suggesting non-smoking? You're the heaviest smoker in the room. I said, well, this is a fresh air car. You want to smell the flowers, smell the, in the morning you drive the dew on your face, all that. So I think smoking is not quite recommendable. So I wouldn't mind, even though I'm a smoker, I propose a non-smoking car. In the ended up, we needed the cup holders and stuff, so that became optional, and how it went in reality. So again, but translating the whole elements of sound of the tailpipe is important. All this thing about restoration, I went to, is there any way we can keep the fenders and panels in oil can, like a sardine, and 20 years later, I will release it as restoration can. And they never heard of something like this. Like, what?
That's true though.
But
it's an
they never
enthusiast
heard of
car.
it, right? Because every 4 years they got a new model and then they'll change it. That's the whole idea of it.
Let me add one thing that was never talked much about. The one thing that happened that had never happened before is when we won the competition and the project became real, we actually had a package of what the production car would be suddenly. And we were the only studio doing the production proposal. There wasn't a competition. And we remember the so-called Mark II? And it fit the package. And it was funny because the proof of concept vehicle was built in the UK by IAD in beautiful Worthing. Beautiful downtown Worthing. Come on, let's hear it from Worthing.
We love Worthing, of course.
It was very Worthing. But if you looked at that car next to one of the clay model on the dimensions, it looked like a monster because it was built out of an RX-7 rear axle, which was much wider than the production MX-5. It had a 1.4 liter single cam asthmatic engine, okay, so it could move under its own power, but be careful because a cat will outrun you. But that's when we started really working in Tom's group, and you turn that thing around so bloody fast, I can't believe it. For the OK time, and they're working on the running prototype, which took a year. By the time the working prototype made its trip to the States on the way to Japan, he'd finished the bloody clay of the production car, which didn't look like what we know, but it had the package and the proportion. And then Tom and his group actually took and made that into the car that you and I know today. So it was just this evolution. And unusually, there was no competitive studio.
No.
They left it, it's being done by the California studio. Oh, and it's also being done by the California studio.
Yeah.
But the California studio is involved. Okay.
That's a single-minded team effort.
Yeah, and so Hiroshima was involved. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, and I think it was a pretty good one, actually.
Tell us about the moment where it almost all went wrong, when you got spotted testing the prototype.
The proof of concept vehicle? Yeah, I was urinating plasma when that happened. We had this drivable car, and it was taken up to Santa Barbara, California, which is, a very pleasant, nice, upscale town. Away from Los Angeles, no crowds, right? And then drove it around some of the residential areas, they drove it around shopping centers there. Coming back down the main drag, which is a one-way called State Street. And as they're coming down, they're stopped at a red light, and they look up at this coffee shop, and there's a bunch of people looking at it, and one guy going click, 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 click. And I had heard through the grapevine that Road and Track magazine was in Santa Barbara doing a group test of cars. So I rang the editor of the magazine, John Dinkle, who I knew from my journalist days, and he said, "Hey John, I heard you guys saw some secret sports car up in Santa Barbara." "Oh yeah, the guy said it was great, and they took pictures, and I'm going to see it when they get back." And I said, "Can I ask a favor?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "That's a Mazda. That's a project we're working on. If it shows up in the magazine, it won't show up in the dealers." I said, "Could you do what you can to sit on it?" And he did.
Yeah.
He never ran.
Well, this is the funny thing, isn't it? The number of times where coincidences or history or background have come into play and made this thing happen. Just your background in journalism, had you not had that, maybe that would have been a different conversation.
Yeah, anything you work on, any project, any relationship, there is a factor of this random chance generator, and it's always running. And every once in a while, you hit 4 stars and things work out. Somebody hit 3 stars and they work. But we were real lucky with this car because at some of these critical points, purely by chance. I don't think it was especially our brilliance, but our brilliance made the chance work better. Okay, that's something you can't consider. If a car, in the case of the MX-5, we had 3 vehicles we were competing with from a production setup date, because Mazda had limited resources. And they had developed a Japanese, what they call K car, micro mini, 550cc under Japanese regulations, had to sit in the box. And it was a little 4-seater, and the engine was underneath the rear seat. The packaging was brilliant. It looked fantastic. Then we're going against that, and we're going against the NPV project that Tom had started. Okay? And it ended up, the little K car, they said Japan only, it'll, you know, the cost of development are high, the margins low, so it got parked. So now it's us and the NPV. And they decided to do the NPV first. And they pushed us back a year. And in retrospect, that was one of these bits of timing. Because pushing us back a year, we worked on the engineering, but we got to a point where we heard the law is changing on American car restraints, and you'll have to have airbags, and we hadn't designed it for airbags. But that gave us the time to put the bloody airbag in the car. So when we officially launched the car at the Chicago Motor Show in February of 1989, we showed the car as it was. Exactly 1 year earlier, Ford had developed, using Mazda components, engineered in Australia, a car that in America was called the Mercury Capri, and in Australia it was a Ford Capri. And it was basically a 323 hatchback that was made into a 2+2 convertible. Okay. All the body was new. It was not especially good looking. It did look as though it was designed by somebody who had a triangle and a straight edge. They didn't have any French. Yeah, maybe it was Musk, who can say? But we had no curves on it. And the Americans decided to look at the Australians engineering, and Ford's Australian engineering group was actually bloody brilliant, but they never informed them about airbags. So the car's shown, and they're going to launch it, and it doesn't have an airbag, and they can't sell it. So they launched actually about a year after us, even though it was shown a year before.
Wow.
And that was nice, because the appearance of this car had people thinking, convertible small car, convertible small car. So in a way, they kind of rolled the red carpet out, and then they stayed off of it.
Yeah.
So we said, jump on that.
It meant you own the market.
It was just timing.
Yeah.
The other one I love is the same car launched at the same time, at the same show, was the Honda NSX. We won!
Yeah. Tom, the phenomenal success of the MX-5 from the get-go, straight out of the box, and the design of the car is the immediate thing which draws the purchaser in. How does that make you feel as a motoring artist, I'll call you?
Well, so much so that I didn't get the company discount for the year and a half.
Nobody did.
None of us did. We refused to pay the premium for $5,000 more.
If you went to a dealer.
Yeah.
We couldn't even buy
I
it.
refused to get this. So I agreed to pay sticker price, and dealer put my name on the waiting list at least. But that's how it happened. So the success of the car is great, but I had to wait 3 years or so to get the discount eventually.
U.S. dealers, the car was retailed for $18,888 base. They had 3 trim levels. It went up to about $17,000. U.S. dealers were getting $5,000 over the manufacturer's suggested price. Okay, we never expected that, and actually I didn't care. There was one dealer in Southern California, not Orange County, but in a place called Monrovia, and they would sell it to you at the sticker price. We were on a waiting list, and the waiting list was kept up to date, and it was all across the windows. They had like 1,800 people on the waiting list. But if you move on, the show was.
No, the crazy time is a house in Beverly Hills going to be sold with 2 Miatas in the garage. That or the other one was a TV was having an interview with this lady coming out of the dealership. So I understand you bought this car today. And this lady says, yes, I just dreamed about it, saw it on TV, I came here, I bought the car. And the guy says, how come you're sitting on a passenger seat? Oh, I didn't know that was a stick shift. So he didn't know how to drive. I went and bought the car. And then he says, this young man's going to teach me how to drive. That was the news, okay? So that was on TV news. And a year, 6 months later, I went to visit Michigan because I work with Ford a lot. And I saw my friend said, so I understand that you guys worked on this car. I said, yeah, let's go to the dealer. So we went, and my friends are looking at the one MX5 says sold. And the couple came out. Young couple with a mother came out, and they go straight to this car and start to drive off. So my friend went and says, did you buy this car? I said, yeah, we are from Ohio. They look everywhere to find a car available to get off. In Michigan, they had only one available, so they drove all the way to Michigan, like 5-6 hour drive to get this car. And then she doesn't know how to drive the stick shift again. And then mother came so that she can drive this family car that they drove to Michigan. Now she's going to drive this, the MX5, learning how to drive 6 hours back. So I was telling my friend that whole story about the news, and then real thing happening in front of their eyes. So that was really great.
I mean, the MX-5 is a car with soul. It's a car, yeah, and you design an engine, there's something else around that. What gives the MX-5 its soul? I mean, because everybody loves it, and it's the element which has given it all. It's why we've got 30 years of the British car. It's why it's the world's favourite sports car. What gives it its soul?
I think we go back to the NA. The group that put it together, or even the Japanese. In fact, one thing this is the background. The head of the U.S. facility was a gentleman named Akio Uchiyama. He was a really great engineer, a nice person. And he went back to Japan. Yamamoto was the head of everything. He says to Uchiyama, because he's in charge of working Americans and doing this nonsense, he says, what do you think of lightweight sports? Uchiyama always, he was kind of something he always goes, start with sense of I think it's not really the best choice. Volume will never be great. It's kind of strange, I'm not sure what to buy. Yeah, okay. But I don't understand it. There's something in this car that I cannot understand when what's happening. The people here in Japan, and not just the Japanese, not this here, the Japanese have, it's a religion to them. And that meant that it had the passion of all these people behind it. So it seemed something other than a technical research project, or a crank out the next MX or RX 33.
So is that where the concept of force rider and army?
That came a little after. Okay. When the program manager Hirai started the project, he was, let's be the third through it. And Hirai was this guy who knew what he didn't know, which was unbelievably good. And he wasn't very happy. And he probably went on tremendously. Just about off background things. One of the sounds, get it a pushing car sound like. Now, if anybody wants to say there's a direct Milan connection to the car, this is it. I have every episode of The Avengers showing North America on Betamax. So I want to go this one. So I edited down every scene when Mrs. P was driving her S1 or her S2, particularly scenes where she downshifted. And I put an audio tape together for her eye, and I said, maybe it should sound like this. He agreed. And that's why he's awesome. And nobody, any Japanese car was worried about the exhaust. And he did.
He engineered it.
Yeah, and that's the idea of these people who understood it was more, okay? And by setting that as the standard, the other project managers understood. They actually had an example to look at. For Orion, the first development team, it was an experiment. They were the test subjects, and thank God they passed.
Yeah. I want to ask you both now, finally. I think we're going to be drawing to a close pretty soon. If you've got a burning question that you want to ask, just stick your hand in the air. I'm going to ask one.
Or even a toasted one. It doesn't have to be burning.
Let me just run up to our
Go for it.
Come on, because I've got one final question as well. I'll say
do you think it is an MX5, Miata, or a Roadster?
Or Eunos?
Okay, I consider it Miata because the Miata name was what we had In the same writings roadster, it says Miata, then below it says Mazda MX-5. It's a long story how Miata started and what happened with it. In Japan, initially really liked the name, but there were some issues with trademark use. And so Mazda also made everything a alphanumeric. So we had that name, we launched the name. It was the Miata and nothing else until the car launched in Japan, where it became a Eunos Roadster. It is a Mazda corporate decision to go from 2 sales channels to 5, one of which was the Eunos. Okay. So that's how that all worked out. Then, when they finally were able to build enough right hook cars to send to Japan, because the demand in Japan was far more than they expected. It was about 10 times what they thought they'd sell. And that's why the launch in the UK was a little bit delayed from the original plan. By that time, they just said, okay, it's fine. That was it. So I mean, my need for the car is instead of NX or whatever, it's PEG. Pretty damn great. That's my
Okay, so any more questions? Yeah, there's another. Yeah, you
open them out.
So what's what's your name? What's the question?
My name is Aaron. Where do you see the future of the MX5 in regards to powertrain, etc.?
Still PEG.
Yeah.
And FTD.
Now,
Funny drive.
Yeah. Anything to be, no matter what power they're going to be, still be lightweight and good handling is a key factor of the Roadster MX-5. So, could be the pure electric not going to happen because the battery is too heavy. It would be a nimble, lightweight sports car, in my mind. So, I see that would be a no-brainer to say they don't do the full electric. And electric is not really final answer. My answer is, does that like capture all the solar energy in the sky, sending the wave of beam to each car, like cell phone tower, propel your cell phone. So this energy beam goes to each car. The car doesn't have that heavy battery that's enough to run it. And that's my ultimate goal of a zero emission car. Technology is not there, but I think it'll happen one day. Because that's the most efficient way of doing things. Before that would be hydrogen is the next step. But beyond that would be the pure, like source from solar, but no battery in the car.
If I could jump in with an opinion, which may be different from Holmes, I can see what would be in the next time. Battery technology is changing unbelievably rapidly right now. And I can put a battery in a car that will have almost 2 times the power and will weigh 30% less. And this, the reason is there are millions of companies, hundreds of companies doing battery research. Okay? And I can see a situation where it works in the car because you can take a battery, you fill the center tunnel. So your weight balance can be absolutely dead nuts perfect, both in X and Y axis. I think it's doable. And I think it's likely to happen because of the speed of battery technology improvement and motor improvement. So I'm one of these guys that technology moves, but it moves in unpredictable directions. However, the more people you have working in one area of technology, the faster the advances will come there. Hydrogen is one of these things. The reason Toyota jumped so much on hydrogen, they had a bunch of engineers who had never set foot out of the engineering thing. And hydrogen on paper is the perfect fuel. Until you worry about the infrastructure. And Toyota assumed if they had the car, the infrastructure would be built. Yeah. Didn't happen. And Toyota wasn't able to build the infrastructure. So there's a real bad chicken and egg situation here. Vehicles of hydrogen now, we started to see in California fleets. And fleets that have a single point of departure where you can have the fuel. But one of the reasons it's so hard to work away from petrol is the infrastructure is there. You can go out for a walking trip from a petrol station, or go to an auto or Sainsbury or a petrol station.
It's fascinating. We could talk here all day. That's a very good question, thank you. We could talk all day, all night. We have to bring this to a close.
doesn't matter. You don't want a slight hint of a smell of a tailpipe. You know, Chanel and those colognes can be going to Tesla. You know, you could have, oh, I have a Tesla smell. But being a sports car, I know I'm old school, but I still want to have a slight hint of a little petrol smell.
Well, there may be a compromise, I'll just say hybrid in that case. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I think the word genius is overused. Not in this case, so please put your hands together.
Good to see you, buddy. How are you? You good?
I'm alright. Sorry I'm late. Well, 4.5 hours late. Literally landed from the Isle of Man, Heathrow, and then in the car up here. So.
Wow. And you've been over at TT?
Yes, yeah. Isle of Man TT. Managed to see some racing yesterday because it was cancelled because of rain and all that kind of stuff, but it was amazing. The senior race was fantastic. So if you've not been to the Isle of Man TT and you have a vague interest in motorbikes, then book yourself on for 2025 because it is like the most spectacular thing you could ever do.
Fantastic. And how long were we out there for, Alex?
We were there Thursday until Sunday. Can we stand up? It feels very...
Yeah, you can stand up if you like.
That's better.
Can I ask you, can you stand up here though? Because it's a very wide angle lens there,
okay.
But it might chop.
Okay. It won't chop our heads off because we're both quite short.
Yeah, we are. Which is an advantage for fitting in these. They are roomy, but it's far better if there's a...
Absolutely right, yeah.
So we've got Phil here with us.
Thank you, Taylor, for bringing Phil. Alright, fella.
Let's start talking about Phil. Many people here will know who Phil is, but for those who don't and don't know the full story of Phil, talk us through it from start to end.
So Phil is my Mark 1 Mazda MX-5 down there. The reason I've called Phil is because I like Phil Collins. I also had an E36 M3 called Colin, so I had Phil and Colin, and then I realised that the M3 was actually quite crap, so I sold it and kept Phil. So Phil is now on his third engine, 2 of which were 1.8 turbocharged, blew the engine up quite early on because I didn't upgrade the oil pump, and that was my fault. But yeah, as you can see, pretty much everything you can do to Phil has been done. So if we start from the exterior, I went for the Mazda Soul Red respray because that colour is my literal favourite colour of any production. It is so good. I've ruined the bonnet a little bit. Why are you nodding? He's nodding. But yeah, I've ruined the bonnet a little bit, but I am hoping to get a carbon fibre bonnet. But the pièce de résistance of Phil is the engine, which is a Jaguar AJ30 V6. So that produces 262 horsepower on the dyno, and that engine makes up to the standard 5-speed Mazda MX-5 gearbox with an adapter plate, and that is all the Rocketeer kit. I'm sure many of you know what the Rocketeer kit is. So that is what's in Phil. We've got rotor TBT wheels, sporty tyres, rollover bar, tillet bucket seats, so carbon fibre bucket seats that look really, really uncomfortable, but they're actually okay. Yeah, pretty much BC Racing coilover, and the last thing I did to Phil also was drive Phil to the Nürburgring and then do a lap, which was really, really crap because I hadn't realised that the diff bushes were also really perished. So as I was going round, the whole diff was slopping about and trying to kill me, but that's now been sorted, so yeah.
What's next for Phil?
What's next, Phil? That's a very good question. I just want to get more power out of that engine.
Okay.
So they're good apparently for 400 horsepower because the, you know, Palmer, where you can do the racetrack stuff, they use that engine in their single-seaters, and they are running about 400 horsepower with cams and with everything else. But yeah, 262 at the moment is okay, but I'd like to get 300, 350 brake. That'd be very cool. And I need to do something with that bonnet because I've ruined it.
Fair, well, carbon fibre on the way.
Indeed, hopefully, yeah. And a carbon fibre hardtop as well. Because they're really heavy. Have you tried taking one off by yourself?
No.
Yes. Has anyone here tried to take off and put on? Yes. It's bloody hard, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, so a lot more carbon fibre coming for Phil. That's Phil. You. Let's talk about you. Let's go way back when. Because me and you first met Autocar many moons ago.
Yeah.
And then you went to Car Throttle when nobody had ever heard of it.
Yes, indeed.
So talk us through Autocar, Car Throttle, and all the way to the end of Car Throttle, then we'll come on to your latest endeavours.
Are you insinuating that Car Throttle is now at an end?
No, I'm saying your involvement with Car Throttle.
Yeah, so as Tim said, I worked for Autocar for 2 years, just to get my foot in the door really. I did Masters Automotive Journalism, as you did as well, and it was kind of a given that you could do some work experience at Autocar, and maybe if you're lucky, if you made really good cups of tea, get a job there, which I did. Spent 2 years there, like I said, but Autocar wasn't really my forte. I spent 2 years quite bored really, writing news stories about, you know, the updated Citroen Cactus, blah 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 facelift. It's boring, Robert Denton, it's just boring. Correctamundo indeed. And then I met a young lad called Adnan Ibrahim who had started a blog and a YouTube channel called Car Throttle. So we chatted, exchanged numbers, and then a few weeks later he messaged me and said, would you like a job heading up the website? And I said, you know what, I'm really bored here, so yeah, let's give it a bloody good go. Everyone told me I was mad for leaving Autocar, very prestigious, blah blah blah, but you know, I wanted to be happy in the job that I was doing.
Were you nervous about doing that? Because you know, you at that point it was just you and him, right? Or was there a few others there?
So there was Ethan Smale as well, who was doing the editing and shooting as well, but he was still at university. But to begin with, it was literally Adnan and I. Was I nervous? Not too nervous. I mean, I was still living at home, didn't have to pay rent or anything like that. Thanks, Mum. And I just wanted to take a bit of a leap of faith, really, and just see where this could take me. And you know, I think it's led me along a really good path. So yeah, spent about 10 years at Car Throttle building it from, I think when I joined we had 10,000 subscribers, and then in 2022 April when I left, we ticked over 3.2 million. So yeah, I mean, Project MX5 was something that really actually helped growth, and I'm sure people who are of a younger persuasion here have probably seen the build series of that. We've done like 40, 50, 60 episodes with that car, and that's what really grew and harbored my love for MX5s as well. But at the end of 2021, I thought I was kind of done with Car Throttle, because Car Throttle had been sold twice already, and we were always promised more money for, you know, bigger excursions and buying cars and doing exactly what we wanted to do, but that never materialised, because there's always penny pinchers above who say, no, you can't have £100 for a car, or you can't do this, that. So it was always an uphill battle. And then I thought, stuff it, I'll give it a bloody good go, start my own channel, and yeah, Auto Alex became a thing in 2022.
It did really well straight off the bat.
It did, yeah, and it actually did so well that I had a bit of a crisis, and I genuinely thought if I could click my fingers and go back to normal life, I would do that, because it was all a bit much. But I think after 2 weeks, the channel already had 250,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Week 4 it was 300, week 5 it was, you know, nearly 400. It was just mental. And then my thinking was always I would stay as a freelancer for the likes of Auto Trader and Car Throttle, and then that Auto Alex would be a side hustle. But then I very, very quickly had to pivot and think, okay, damn, this is actually going to be my job. Quite a lot of pressure, but yeah, let's give it a go. And here I am on stage with you.
I know.
It's all gone wrong.
I was going to say, somewhere in this mix it went wrong, because now you're talking to me. I'm sure I'm probably the least famous person you've ever had interview you, but we'll give it a good go. Anyway.
Oh, you're pretty. You're our Tim. You've even got jackets with your logo on.
I know, it's pretty, isn't it?
It is pretty good, yeah.
What's next then for Auto Alex? Where do you see it going? I mean, with Car Throttle, when you went there, did you have a clear vision of where it wanted to go, or were you like, oh, we'll see where it goes and let it be quite organic?
Yeah, I have no clear vision. Actually, I went to the Specsavers the other day, and I literally don't have clear vision. I need glasses, which is very annoying. But I don't have a roadmap of anything that I want to do. But since starting Auto Alex, it's been a complete whirlwind. Now, you know, 2 and a bit years later, I employ like 12 people now, because we also started 2 different YouTube channels as well.
Yeah, I saw.
So Edwin and Will from Top Dead Centre as well. So Edwin used to work at Car Throttle, Will used to work at Overdrive, and then Overdrive just stopped becoming a thing, and I spoke to Will and said, what's going on? And then he told me that they pulled the plug. So I said, well, why don't we start a new channel with you? Who would you want to support you and present with you? And I had a name in my head, he had a name in his head, and that was Edwin. So I then approached Edwin, and then effectively pinched him from Car Throttle, because he was also unhappy there. And then did exactly the same thing with Ethan and Jack.
So, Top Dead Centre, is that under your portfolio, is it? Or is
that's all under Auto Alex umbrella. As is Ethan and Jack's new channel, All the Gear.
Wow.
So yeah, the whole Car Throttle crew are back together. The band is back together. Yeah.
Slightly different name, but all back together.
Yeah. But no, they have their budgets that I literally let them do what they want. Because, yeah, I support them, I back them.
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? If you feel like you haven't got the backing, as you said, and you've got penny pinchers there, it really does play on you. It has a big impact.
It really does, yeah. As for your question, what's next? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I want to get out to America at some point soon. Do some collabs with the likes of, Tavarish and all those kinds of people, Hoopy's Garage, whatever. Marty from MCN is going to be over, so he's actually reached out to me, which is mental.
Whoa!
So hopefully we can have a bit of a Mighty Car Mods, Auto Alex collab. But yeah, I don't have any fixed plans. I'm going to be a dad in August as well.
I heard this. I heard this.
Yeah. Well done. It works.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a round of applause. I was hoping everyone would be like, oh.
How do you... Okay, so as a dad, how are you expecting that boy-girl to impact you? Do you think it's going to impact you, or do you think things are going to change?
Yeah, things are definitely going to change. She is going to be born in August, and yeah, I reckon I'll probably fall in love with her straight away and just spend as much time with her as possible. So if I can bring her into the kind of car world, and as soon as I can get a baby seat in Phil, I will do that, yeah. Can anyone do ISOFIX on a carbon fibre bucket seat? No, people are laughing at me.
I might know a man, actually.
Do you?
I might know a man.
Otherwise, I'll just get a ratchet strap and strap it to the roof. Yeah. But yeah, we are going to try and film as much as we can really in the next, how long do I have left? Like 2 months or so. And then backload or front load the channel a little bit, so I can actually take probably 2 weeks off or so. But I never really switch off. So
I was going to say,
who knows?
You live in the world of social media, so social media is constantly on our phones. Does your phone now ever stop, or have you just turned all notifications off?
I just switch it off. Yeah. I look at my phone when I feel like I need to look at my phone, but it's just annoying. I was trying to have a nap the other day, and it was just pinging off. I was like, I don't need this. I just need naps these days. I'm nearly 40 years old, nearly 40, and I just like napping. Yeah.
Now, out there are many, anybody now can pretty much be a content creator. All you need is a phone in your pocket and you can create good quality content now.
Yeah.
For anybody who is, wanting to emulate your success and get into the whole YouTube game and content creation game, what would you advise for them?
That's a very good question, and it's a question I get asked quite a lot actually. The first thing is, you don't need expensive equipment to have a good video. You just need a good eye and also just an iPhone or something like that. Don't go for a Samsung, they're unbranded, they're a bit crap. But yeah, no, genuinely, something quite modern, and make sure your audio is good as well. So there's a little company, well not little, it's a massive company called DJI. They make drones, and they also make audio packs as well, which is what we use, wireless. You connect them to your phone, and you've got warp stabilization and everything in your phone, so just go out and give it a crack and practice, get comfortable in front of the camera. And also, my biggest piece of advice is, don't be a sheep, don't try and copy trends that are currently hot, because by the time you've nailed that, it might not be hot anymore. If you I like can I say it? Shit boxes? I'll say crap boxes.
Yeah.
I like old cars, you know, cheap cars. Relatable content is my thing, so that's something that I've always loved doing. And I think if you love your hobby and your passion, then that will really shine through in the videos that you produce. If you were to say to me, oh yeah, we're gonna turn you, Alex, into Matt Armstrong, and you've got to buy a crash supercar and do this, that and the other, I wouldn't enjoy it, so I don't think the content would be particularly good. I just like crap cars and going on adventures, which is why I think it resonates with a lot of people. So yeah, just if you've got something that you really love, then give it a go. Stick a camera and good audio in front of yourself, and who knows, yeah, could work out.
So earlier this year I was talking to Tim Burton, Shmee.
Never heard of him.
He is...
Oh, is he? Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Cheers!
Yeah, Shmee. One of the things he was talking about was you don't know what piece of content is going to pop. Do you remember the first piece of content that really popped?
I mean, lots of the Phil stuff worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Because that was, I mean, how long have I had Phil? Like nearly 9 or 10 years. And that was at the time where car builds weren't really a thing. So we're talking, what, 2015, 2016 or so? Maybe 2015. I bought Phil, and then we did a series on Phil, and there wasn't really anything out there. I mean, there was obviously Mighty Car Mods, and they were the top dogs at the time. Like, we looked up to them, we're like, oh my god, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 views, that's amazing, wouldn't it be great to get there? So builds, I would say, worked really, really well, because it's relatable content. At the time, most people could afford a Mark 1, obviously that's changed now, and we're all actually all at fault for that, because we keep on buying the good ones. But yeah, build series on Phil was really good, and that is genuinely what made Car Throttle take off.
And okay, so what about your channel? When that, like, you signed it up and released it, and all of a sudden it gained all of these subscribers, what was that like? Was that like the same when you saw the viewing figures for the build series on Phil, or was it like oh okay, this is different?
Yeah, it was bizarre. I mean, the first video that went out was, the title is, yeah, I've officially quit Car Throttle, and my former boss at the time phoned me up straight afterwards after he saw the viewing figures, and he was like, I think you'll find actually you haven't officially left. And I was like, well yeah, I'm not a salary anymore, so yes I have. But he was just really, you know, a bit butthurt that I'd actually put that in the title, but that's what got so many subscribers over straight away, so that really helped. And then yeah, we've been doing, you know, buying of the cheap car, you know, like the Top Gear challenges. Yeah. That's, for us, is what works really well, because we will sit on a sofa and we will go on Facebook Marketplace and we will buy a crap car, phone them up, go see it, go walk around it, and then literally just drive the arse off it to Nürburgring or wherever else. And it's just, it's the type of series that you look at with your mates and think, hey, look, Alex and Taylor and Rory and Gareth have done this, let's do it as well. Because at the end of the day, it's probably, if it all goes wrong, you won't lose more than 500 quid, if you're lucky. So yeah, and it's making memories as well. If stuff goes wrong, that's kind of the best memories you can make as well with cars.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we've got 4 cars here in front. Well, technically we've got a 5th one down here, but there's 4 right in front of the stage, and just off stage down there, we have got the godfathers of the MX-5. So we're going to start over here, and we're going to work our way that way, and we're going to get your thoughts, all 3 of you, your thoughts, opinions on each of the cars, and see what you think.
Sounds good.
I have to make no nonsensical Bobisms here. I do like the color.
Okay. I mean, that's
You know why?
It's something, yeah,
It,
something.
it looks like my eyes. So I also like the colour. I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of front ends, and that's okay. The rear end's no K too. Yeah, no. Did I say no? I meant no K. No K. Okay, yeah.
They're being mean about your car.
It's all personal preference, isn't it? Yeah. The interior is quite smart though. I like your seats, they look very comfortable. It is smart, it's definitely smarter than mine. Yeah? That wouldn't be hard. No, that really isn't hard. I've only known you for about 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm getting the nail down already. The rollover bar is interesting. How would the passenger fare? Goodbye.
Yeah.
Exactly right, yeah.
Do you-
Hopefully he wouldn't suffer long. Mind you, if they're all right, they'll be all right.
Of course I will. Of course.
I'm really funny about roll bars, okay? An American buy a car, they'll ask, which is a good car that's safe in a crash? And my idea is, which is a good car to avoid a crash in? And so to me, a roll bar is nice, but I'd rather be able to get away from
To avoid the crash,
exactly.
yeah.
That's just me, you know, what the hell do I know?
Are these 16-inch wheels?
Yes.
Okay. That's a bold choice.
What size are on yours, Alex?
15s.
50s?
Yeah. The only size that should be on the MX5 Mark
Okay.
I. No offense. What do we think? Okay, Ian is hurrying us along.
Yeah, come on, what do you think? What do you think? Come on, Alex, thoughts?
Should we do like a score rating?
Yeah, go for it. Out of 10.
Personal preference, I mean no harm, I give it a 4.
Oh dear. Bob. Marks out of 10.
Okay, marks out of 10. I give it about in 2 factors.
Okay.
4 out of 100. 4 out of 10.
Come on, Bob. What?
I'd say about 7.5 on the car.
Okay.
On the factor that is important to me on a car is its distinctiveness. It's probably on a scale of 1 to 10. It's about a 12.
Right, see, that's what. And
Just
Tom?
because I thought it looked funny doesn't mean
No,
whether I like it or not.
this is the hardest thing for designer to answer to all the customized cars.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. One thing I could say, there's so many customized front end and rear end of the car, but middle section's always MX5.
Yes.
And it's working on every single element, every single customization. Each section's good because I worked on it.
Yeah. Good answer.
Now,
Good answer.
Besides that mirror, we wanted to do that mirror for the production model too. You know, the old traditional adjustable rear view mirror. We couldn't do it legally for our engineering standard, but nice that somebody did it.
In fact, what do you know? The owner who stood behind you is now going to dine out on that forever. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first car. Put your hands together, and very humorous of our owner there. What they didn't know that you won't have realised. Did you have a look at the stereo in there? Am I right in saying that that's got the old school amplifiers in there?
Tube valve, yes, indeed.
Hang on
It's got an old school tube valve.
That is very cool.
That's awesome.
Please allow me to state a slightly different opinion.
Okay.
The best stereo are these 2 speakers right here. Nothing else counts.
Very true, very true. Right, let's move on then to this one here, which is a Mark III tuned by BVR.
So I'll jump in. I love the Mark III. So I didn't give it much love when they first came out. But I owned one, a 2-litre sport model, tuned it up a little bit, took it to the Nürburgring, and it was absolutely fantastic. Obviously it shares the same platform as the RX-8 as well. And I've got a lot of respect for Mark IIIs. And I do like this. It's subtle, but it's aggressive. And it's got a lot of red on it, and I like red and gold wheels. Yeah, it's nice, and it sits well. And I reckon that'll be a lot of fun on track.
Okay, so thumbs up from Alex.
Definite thumbs up, yeah.
Tom, we'll come to you next. What do you think?
Overall, it's a very nicely put together. The track is nice. The footwork looks really good. And the spoilers and everything is all well balanced. So I feel this is a really good example of where NC could be.
Okay, and finally.
In my old age, as I get confused and such, and by the way, who are you? I actually sometimes refer to NCs as MX8s. No, because of the component shared with the RX-8. And I think that given the reality of the problems Mazda had at the time, one of which was called Ford, the car came out damn good because they were able to take and use the best parts of one, and it's a damn good Miata, okay? I know they drive great. I think it's okay. Supercharged, did it need it? Let's be honest. Does it need supercharging?
Yes. There we go. Yes.
Just one.
Yeah.
But why doesn't somebody do a super duper charge?
Super duper charge.
If some is good, more is better, and too much is just enough.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Also, can I say, this is a relatively modern car. Thank you to the owner for not putting a 3D or a 4D gel number plate on it.
BBR will be thrilled about that because that's their press car.
Is it really? Hold on, BBR.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of class.
No, it's a fantastic thing to drive.
It is
I can tell you
great,
first hand, it
Hang
is
on.
superb.
With these 4D number plates, do they allow you to pass into the TARDIS?
Well, the ULEZ zone, yes.
Yeah, just which one?
So we're giving the Supercharged Mark III thumbs up.
Big thumbs up, definitely. Big thumbs
Okay, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the BBR Mark III. Now we're coming over to this.
Wow, that's the best MX-5 pedal car I've ever seen. Oh wait, it's got an engine. Oh, sorry.
Who
My
owns
bad.
this? Where's the owner? Oh,
What? Is that you?
Oh, there's the owner.
Hey, hang on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you are.
So this has a heart from Luton, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, but they're good engines. They are very good.
They are
engines.
great engines in Vauxhalls. Absolutely.
Yes.
None better. Okay. but you know this. Let me show you something here. To get this to work right. Okay. Excuse me for leaning over the car. You have to have a vertical on this side of the V and one there. Okay. It's interesting.
It is, yeah.
Not
I mean, a lot of engineering has definitely gone into this. I imagine it's also very fast. Is it very fast? How much power does it make? 240 at the wheels. Sorry? And 190 foot-pound of torque. And it weighs, what, 700 kilos, if that? About 700 kilos. So yeah, power to weight is going to be very, very impressive. And you've put, what are they, 14s on there? 13-inch wheels. Fantastic, yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of Mazda left in it. So maybe there's no Mazda left in it.
Maybe that's
only
a good
on
thing.
it.
Is there
Maybe
any
that's a good thing
Mazda
for the
left in
Mark IV.
this?
Only the body.
Okay, yeah. So the Mazda is on it, not in it.
Tom, what do you think?
I can't make any comments.
There you go. There's your claim to fame.
Tom went to the Henry Kissinger School of Diplomacy, and I attended but failed.
So what? So the race car. Are we giving it thumbs up, thumbs down? Marks out of 10. What are we doing?
Can we get a minute?
Ooh.
Oh, who wants to get in?
Ooh.
Shall I do it?
Go on.
Shall we save your knees? I'll give it a go.
Because Alex is tiny.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Oh, I'm going to get impaled. Right, hold on. Can someone hold that?
Somebody tells me that's not a collapsible column.
Look at him. Oh, God. Oh, my
You better take that to the Nürburgring.
Oh.
Are you feeling 40 yet?
Oh, my God. Wow. This is amazing. Do you want to look at him? I can't reach the gear shifter. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, but hang on. You can't reach a gear shift, but it's not an automatic, so you're still in trouble.
You wouldn't be able to drive it. You don't know what to do with the manual, do you?
I sure as hell do. my father banned automatic transmissions from our household. My mom had a 4-speed fuel-injected station wagon.
Oh, yes.
Chevy Nomad. She refused to drive automatics.
Yeah. This is good.
Oh, just stay there.
Very good.
Do you want it? Do you want it?
Okay. So now you're sat in it. What's the score?
The score for comfort is a -1, but the score for individuality it's got to be an 11. This is fantastic. I like the fact that I can see the entire gearbox and the manifold. Does it get quite warm?
We
when
do
you're
have a
full?
cover.
You do have a cover?
Yeah.
That's cheating. No, I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Is it road legal?
No.
Can you make it road legal? There's a challenge for next year.
If you get some ID.
I know a man. Actually, no, Taylor knows a man. He'll make it road legal.
Fantastic. Right, Tom. Thoughts?
Speechless.
Speechless. Speechless. Alex is now on the floor. Are you feeling 40 yet?
Oh, my back's just popped. Yeah.
And finally, Bob.
Top-rated Vauxhall in the show, without exception.
Very good, very good. Now, the final car you are banned from.
Why?
In fact,
it's the best car here.
No, wait. Can I borrow your microphone? Right there. Where's he gone? Where's the owner of that one gone?
Oh,
Oh no!
Where's he gone?
Yes, I see him.
Come on down. Where are you? Where are you? Come on down. Where's he gone? Where is he? Come here. No, put that drink down. Come here. Come here. Come here. That's a microphone.
Thank you.
It's Alex's microphone.
Okay.
You know he was mean about your car.
Yeah.
Come here. Come have a look at this. Come and have a look at this. Right, come on then.
We can say, what do you mean? Okay.
He's like, quick, put the bonnet open. Quick, do anything to make it look good. So what do you think of this?
Well, you know, nah, 3 out of 10.
Have you been working out?
No, come on then. So this is Phil. This is yours, Alex. So, and you've been in this, have you not?
Yeah. Last time I was here, I drove it. Yeah.
What did you think?
It's really nice.
Yeah?
I mean, it's a good. The torque was really nice, to be honest. Yeah. Beefy torque.
Beefy talk.
Yeah.
So should MX-5 have had a V6 in it then?
Well, again, you know, what's the market? Well, what we produce and people customize is a two different thing. We had to do all the insurance classifications and all that too. So if we do that in factory, insurance is going to go up and stuff for price point and stuff. So, but do it nicely, like this is a well-balanced car, which is a quite achievement. Some are too rough or too much power, but this is a good balance. So.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Where's he gone? Where's Lola?
Behind you.
Behind you. You were right. He has got a master's from the School of Diplomacy, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
Now then, your turn. Go ahead.
Well, right off the top, it's got 2 cylinders more than any car needs to have. Okay. Just joking. I have to admit, I'm kind of fascinated about the idea of V6. In the States, people squeeze V8s into them, which is only slightly less silly than voting for Donald Trump. But, I'm sorry if there are any Republicans here.
So you're in
Not
safe
really,
hands
but I'll
here.
say it.
You are in safe hands here.
It's an interesting. It's a solution I never would have thought of. Good choice of engine because it's configured to sit vertically and front to rear. I think it's kind of cool. Okay.
Am I right in saying that the engine
by the way-
in this was pretty much the same weight as the slightly lighter?
It's got too many stickers on it. Although the SA is it SAS or SAC? The sticker on the back, I like that. Okay. Except it doesn't qualify as an SB.
I'm so confused.
That's the plan. Oh, sorry.
Right, so we'll give it marks out of 10. Come on.
Well, I give it out of 10. V6 out of 10.
Okay.
So what is V in Roman numerals?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, okay.
Hang on. 11 out of 10.
Sure, why not?
Come on. What do you give it out of 10?
As a tuning car, it's 8 or 9.
But as an MX-5?
I don't know about that one.
Let me poke ahead in here, okay? The thing with the MX-5 that I learned very quickly is the last designer of the car is the owner. So if an owner does something with an MX-5, and not two, that makes the owner happy, it's bloody brilliant. Okay?
No, that's praise. That is praise there. See, he's happy now. He's smiling. There you go. Right,
Well,
final.
he hasn't swapped it off for a Skoda yet, so it must be okay.
No, give it a few months and when it'll walk up. Have you bought a family car yet, Alex? Have you bought a family car?
Many.
How many Skodas?
I have with 460,000 miles.
460,000 miles
Oh,
Skoda.
was it? Is it 110L? Ooh, yeah. Here's how you learn about oversteer.
Right then, final question for all three of you. You can drive one of them home. Which one are you going to drive home? Alex.
Hello, am I up?
Push the button on the side there.
Yes.
There you go. Try now.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go. Which one are you going to drive home?
I would actually drive the race car.
I expected nothing less.
Exactly, because then I'd get the owner in loads of trouble and they'll just flee the scene and it would just be funny.
What car are you going to drive home?
I couldn't do this because my wife wouldn't be in it, and she'd take me to another acu-beating therapy,
Mhm.
and there'd be nothing left for me but a small greasy spot in the pavement.
Okay.
I think.
Please say Phil, please say Phil, please say Phil.
I'd be filled up if I said that. I'd probably take Phil's car, but leave the hardtop here. You know, what the heck.
You could do that, yeah.
And finally,
My turn?
Yeah.
Black car.
BBR will love you.
Well, go with it. Well, look at this.
That's true, actually. It is true. That is very
By the
true.
way, Tom Matano is sponsored by BBR.
Now a word for a sponsor.
Right then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much all for coming down to your couch. Put your hands together for
Thank you
our
all for
3
buying
guests.
MX5s.
So we've had awards, we've had judging going on throughout the day, and we have got 7 prizes here. I mean, what an honour to win a prize here today at the 30th anniversary rally for the MX5 Owners Club and 35 years of the MX5. So we're going to start with our Mark 1. The Mark 1 winner with P866JNU is Martin Thorpe. Martin, come on down. Come on up on the stage. Come on. Come on down, come on up. Yes, indeed. And Dan Youngs from MX5 Owners here is going to be handing over the award. Martin, congratulations to you. Were you expecting that?
Not bloody likely, no.
Well, congratulations, you're going home with the trophy for the Mark 1. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our Mark 1 winner.
Right, next one.
Next up, can you guess where we're going next? We are indeed going to Mark 2. The Mark 2 award, our winner, is going to MX5 2, and I don't know if it's TOY or TDY, but it's Richard Humphrey. Richard, where are you, sir? Come on down. Congratulations to you.
Here he is, he's invisible.
Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Here he is. Come on up. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, please extend your applause for our Mark 2 winner, Richard Humphrey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done to you. Were you expecting that?
No. It's been hard work, but no.
What have you done to the car?
Since last year, it's just been re-undersealed, a bit more polish and bits and pieces done over the winter.
Well, you've done well because you're going home with our trophy here today for the Mark II. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our Mark II winner. Next up then, ladies and gents, we move on to the Mark III.
The NC, please. Thank you.
All right, the NC. So, the NC. Look, it says there in caps, Mark III.
Well, not my fault. Somebody made a
I
mistake.
know. Blame him over there. So everyone's like, not me. Anyway, the NC, the winner, is going to...
You know what NC means?
Nice car.
I won't ask what ND stands for. Anyway, the NC winner is going to NC56MAZ. That is Neil Collins. Neil, where are you? Come on down. Mark III winner. Here he is. Come on down. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, extend your applause, please, for our Mark III winner. Were you expecting that?
Not really, no, but it's just amazing.
Are you pleased?
Very pleased.
How long have you had the car?
11 years. Yeah.
Barely broken in.
Yeah, it's not even broken in yet. Well, congratulations to you. Please do accept your trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our Mark III winner, Neil Collins. Next up, we have our Mark IV winner. And this one is going to MX5 2 BRY. Brian Davies. Brian, come on down. Congratulations to you. I'm guessing, I thought I recognised the reg, but I'm guessing yours is the Martini one, right? There we are, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. A Mark IV winner, Brian Davies. Were you expecting it?
No, it wasn't. There's some lovely cars out there. I've only had that one a couple of years, but I normally enter the Mark III.
Yeah.
Once they've all been back, thought I'd try the Mark IV this time.
Well, it's done well. Collect your silverware, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for our Mark IV winner, Brian Davies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up then, we've got 3 prizes here away here. There are some here that are very special indeed. But the first is the Judge's Choice Award. And this is going to the car VIL8744. Stacey, where are you, Stacey? Come on down. Well done to you. You are our Judge's Choice winner. Congratulations to you. Were you expecting it? No, not at all. No, they haven't put on here if it's Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, Mark NA. Are you pleased? Speechless, absolutely speechless. Congratulations to you. Stacey, our Judge's Choice Award winner. Now then, we're coming on to 2 prizes here, as chosen by our 2 esteemed guests. I mean, can you imagine winning one of these awards? Tom, we're going for yours first. And before I reveal, what was it about this car that stood out?
Just the color spoke to me right there. The color of the car.
Okay, so the colour of the car, and if it's got the reg number AY02KDV and your name's Sarah Smith, come on down because you have won the Tom Matano choice. Congratulations to you. Come on up. Can you believe it? Are you pleased?
Very.
There you are, ladies and gentlemen. Please put your hands together for the first of our choice awards there. Sarah Smith.
Thank Dave Youngs for sponsoring it.
Next up is your choice. And before I reveal who has won the Bob Hall Choice Award, what was it about this car that stood out?
It was just seeing it sitting there, the stance. It was a fascinating, great combination of color and contrast. The wheels look bloody brilliant, okay? Nice, made me feel good to look at it.
Well, if your car's wearing the reg number FH16JVG and your name's Tony Ward, come on down because you are Bob Hall's Choice Award winner. Come on up, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Tony Ward. How do you feel?
I'm amazed, yeah. I was just kind of hoping just to win a decent car prize, but to win a prize from Bob.
I mean, just to put it into context, you're at the MX5 30th anniversary rally, the 35-year anniversary of the car, and Bob Hall has just chosen your car.
Wow. What do I say?
Congratulations to you. If you'd like to accept your prize, as you don't, please put your hands together for Tony Ward.
What's better than a liquid prize? The other one is to thank Marcus and Dave Motorboys for organising it.
And finally, we're coming on to the big one. This is the big one. It is the pride of ownership. And ladies and gentlemen, the winner, the Pride of Ownership Award here at the MX5 30th Owners Club Annual Rally and the 35th anniversary of the car. The Pride of Ownership Award is going to Neil Collins, NC56MAZ. Come on back up here. It was your Mark III winner. Where has he gone? Come on. He's speechless. Absolutely speechless. Congratulations, Caesar. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our Pride of Ownership winner. He's in tears. Absolutely in tears. Absolutely superb. Ladies and gentlemen, please can you put your hands together for our Pride of Ownership Award winner, Neil Collins. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, underneath this video you'll find a thumbs up. If you hit that, that works with the YouTube algorithm and puts this video in front of more people just like you. It really helps my channel grow. And if you've really enjoyed it, why not think about hitting that subscribe button? I really appreciate each and every one of you who does subscribe to my channel. Coming up next is a full review of this, the supercharged Mark III MX5 as tuned by BBR, and spoiler alert, it's fantastic. Make sure you check back for that. It's coming up later this week. All that's left to say is thanks so much for watching and happy birthday to the MX5.